Thank you so much for that kind introduction. I wasn't sure if you were going to reach back to my high school transcripts. Not sure if I need those out there.
I didn't have a copy.
Thank God. Good afternoon. Salam alaikum. Thank you to the Arab Center DC for the work that you do in this town, one of the hardest towns in the world to do the kind of work that you guys do, to take the kind of stances you take. Thank you so much for this award. I didn't realize it was the inaugural award. No pressure on me and the people who come after me. I appreciate this award for journalistic integrity, commitment to media excellence. It's not an award I think I deserve, and so I do want to dedicate this award today to Anas al-Sharif and Hasan Shabat and Mariam Abu Daka and Roshdi Siraj and Bilal Abdullah, all of those very brave, courageous Palestinian journalists who were murdered by Israel for trying to tell the truth about a genocide. A genocide that we are told is now over. There is a ceasefire. Say thank you to Donald Trump. That is what we've been told for the last week or so. Even though Palestinians are still being killed almost every single day by the occupying Israeli forces in the Gaza Strip. As the saying goes, in the Middle East, a ceasefire means Palestinians cease and Israelis fire. For over 2 years now, Gaza has been a ledger of extremity, a horror show. The mass killing of civilians, of children, the systematic destruction of infrastructure, the forced displacement of nearly 2 million people, the killing and jailing of journalists and doctors and aid workers, the weaponization of hunger, the undermining and ignoring of international law. We have witnessed a genocide in real time, on our phones, on our screens. A genocide as testified to by Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch and B'Tselem and Physicians for Human Rights Israel and Doctors Without Borders and the UN Commission of Inquiry and UN Special Rapporteurs and the UN Special Committee and Israeli Holocaust historians, the International Association of Genocide Scholars, and even the former Deputy Director of the Mossad, General Amram Levin. It is a genocide, undeniably, and the job of journalists in a time like this is not to moderate our vocabulary or hold our tongues. It is to say what is going on accurately, to name the reality we are in. When I launched Zeteo, a small, stubborn news organization, now growing fast, 500,000 subscribers, I'm sure everyone in this room. When I launched Zeteo, I did not have an MBA. I had no experience of running a business or running anything. I can barely run a bath. But I did have a simple mission: to speak freely about the biggest issues in the world right now, to be able to say the G word, genocide, the F word, fascism, in a way that our legacy media organizations, our so-called mainstream media outlets, are so afraid, so unwilling to do. I called my company Zeteo, because Zeteo is the ancient Greek word for seeking out, inquiring, searching for the truth, which is what we try and do day in, day out, in a way that the mainstream media has stopped doing. At Zeteo, we ask difficult, uncomfortable questions. What does accountability look like? Why the double standards? What about international law? Why aren't we hearing from Palestinian voices? I founded Zeteo, frankly, because I was tired of being told that the truth can't be told, that journalism can't be done any other way, that speaking out will cost you. Zeteo exists to rebut all of that, to counter all of that, to allow my colleagues, our contributors, and I to speak freely and bluntly about what matters, both at home and abroad. I know your event today is called Trump and the Middle East, a second-term review. So let me throw my 50 cents in. Let me briefly review it for you. I know the panel will have done a much better job before I arrived. I'll come back to the Gaza peace plan. But more broadly, it is pretty simple to summarize what Donald Trump's second term on the Middle East has been like. I know I'm at a think tank event right now. We just saw the video, the explainer, the tributes. Think tanks where people are paid literally to think, to analyze, examine, formulate. But Donald Trump doesn't require any of that. I promise you. At least George W. Bush and the neocons had a vision for the Middle East. It's not one I agreed with. It was one drenched in blood, came with bombs. But it was a vision, undeniably. Trump doesn't believe in visions. Trump believes in transactions. He also quite likes bombing himself. We don't talk about that often enough. This is a president who in his first 9 months in office has dropped bombs on Iran and Syria and Somalia and Yemen. And of course, given lots of bombs to Netanyahu to drop. Bombs that he didn't even know the names of, he told us at the Knesset the other day. But look, once you strip away the slogans and the memes and his desperate, childlike desire for a Nobel Peace Prize, his 9-month record in office so far on the Middle East is built around three pretty simple, three pretty obvious pillars. Embrace Israel, embrace dictators, get paid. That's it. Embrace Israel, send them endless arms, allow them to stay in Gaza forever, call for Netanyahu to be pardoned, and crack down on pro-Palestine dissenters here at home. That's embrace Israel. Embrace dictators. He just went to Egypt, where he met the man he calls his favorite dictator, General Sisi. He praised his, quote, fantastic leadership and low crime rates. Sisi has over 60,000 political prisoners behind bars. That's embracing dictators. And get paid. The Saudis, the Qataris, the Emiratis have all figured out that the way to Trump's heart is through his wallet, through his bank balance, through his myriad businesses. And can you blame them? He's made it so easy to bribe a sitting president of the United States on issues not just of foreign policy, but national security. So please, I would urge you all, spend your time and money and staff looking at the big issues in the Middle East. But you don't need to spend that much time figuring out Donald Trump. He is not playing 3D chess. He is not. He's embracing Israel, embracing dictators, and getting paid. It really is that simple. But wait a minute, Mehdi, what about the peace plan that he got? Well, it isn't a peace plan, first of all. Let's just be clear about that. It's a ceasefire plan, which is barely holding. And he has no plan for Palestinian statehood, Palestinian self-determination, Palestinian freedom. In fact, if you want to judge the Gaza plan, I would argue that there are 5 very clear tests that have to be passed. People keep saying to me, why won't you credit Trump? Why won't you praise Trump? 5 tests. Let's see if he actually passes them. Number 1, civilians test. Does this plan protect Palestinian civilians? Not so far this week. Number 2, the law test. Does it conform with international law? Does it allow Palestinians to retain control of their own land? Does it forbid Israel from using aid as a weapon of war? Collective punishment. Again, not looking good this week. They've already halved aid going into Gaza. Number 3, the geography test. Does the plan stop the geographic erasure of Gaza? Does it allow Israel to hold on to land in the form of buffer zones and security perimeters? Well, right now they control a majority of the Strip. Even under a best-case scenario, they keep, 18% of Gaza, and you have Bezalel Smotrich telling us, we will settle on that land. There will be Jewish settlers back in Gaza. Number 4, the accountability test. Where is the teeth in this plan? Who enforces this plan? If Israel violates this deal like it has almost every other deal, what happens? What happens the next day? Does the US, does the EU, does the UN send a sternly worded letter? Good luck with that. And number 5, the root cause test. Does this plan address the fact that the Palestinians are a people with a right to freedom, a right to sovereignty, a right to return? A plan that rebuilds the houses in Gaza without rebuilding the rights of the people of Gaza, I'm sorry, is just a plan for another war, the next war. So let's keep our collective eyes on Gaza as Trump moves on, as the media moves on, as the world moves on. Israel wants to go back to October the 6th, to an unsustainable, untenable, unjust status quo. That's where we seem to be heading, depressingly. But I want to be hopeful. I do. I try. Not just because any deal, even temporarily, that prevents Israel from killing kids every day is not a deal that should be dismissed out of hand. Not just because the Palestinians are the most resilient people I've ever come across in my 46 years on this planet. but because attitudes here in the US, where we are, the capital, are changing. They really are. A recent New York Times poll found that for the first time ever, more Americans sympathize with Palestinians than they do with Israelis. Not a poll result I ever thought I would see in my lifetime. I'm also hopeful because independent journalism is showing us a different way to cover this conflict, this genocide. Not just Zeteo, where we have writers like Diana Butu and Musab Abu Toha and Daniel Levy and podcasters like Naomi Klein and Owen Jones and Bassem Youssef, all of them saying on the Middle East what you will never hear heard said in the mainstream media. But there's also drop site news. My former colleagues at The Intercept set that up. Fantastic reporting on Gaza. Please do support drop site news. There's my old friend. Support independent media. My old friend Joy Reid, ex-MSNBC host, doing fantastic work, including on Gaza, in her new endeavor. You see podcaster Jennifer Welch, just the other day, grill Cory Booker on his ties to AIPAC. You see podcaster Van Lathan, just yesterday, grilling Gavin Newsom, governor of California, on his ties to AIPAC. The media is changing, and I'm delighted to be a part of that change. I hope leading some of that change on the independent side. Because for me, hope is not a mood, hope is a method. Hope is a discipline. Hope is action. Hope is doing something about a situation that looks bad and needs changing. That is what I am about. That is what I hope you are all about. That is what Zeteo is about. That is what ACW, the Arab Center DC, is about. Together, we are about changing the conversation here in DC, here in the United States, and across the world. So thank you again to the Arab Center DC for this award. I treat this award, I hope, not as a pat on the back, but a push to do more, to work harder, to speak louder. Not that that's possible, but my wife would say. Thank you for reminding us all with the existence of this award that journalistic integrity is not what you claim or brag about, it's what you hold on to when you're under pressure and under attack from the people in power. And I say to them, you will not silence me, not on this issue or any other issue. Zeteo is here to stay. I am here to stay. And the truth, whether it's about genocide abroad or fascism at home, will not be suppressed. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for this award. Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to Zeteo.com. Your support matters.